So far, we've made our vertical line, used our whole arm, made our vertical line, put the bottom of it and the top of it. This is our line for our wall. We split it in half at 4 feet. Then we split it into quarters so that now we have 6 feet and 2 feet. And then in between we put 3 feet and 1. So we start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet. So we've got an 8-foot wall. And we put in our 5-foot line for our eye level. We chose a vanishing point, but our vanishing point could have been anywhere along that line. But in choosing it, you're telling the viewer that you want them to stand here to view what you're going to show them, because that will give them the best view. So that would be where their head is placed when they're looking at you, what you're drawing, and yours as well, being the one that's doing the drawing. So you put in an equal-sided box here on the floor. You can start a box in a million different ways, but we started it this way because we know where the floor line is. And we want our chair to be a little bit away from the floor. So we wanted it to be an equal-sided box in perspective. So we know now that the width, if we want it to look the same depth as the width, because of foreshortening, we have to make that less than half the width. And this is just slightly less than half the measure of the front of the box, the width. So we have to make that a little less. And we pulled it just a little bit away from the wall. Okay. Now what we need are verticals. And our verticals remain straight because they're the same distance from us throughout their whole length. Now, the height of the seat of the chair is going to be 1.5 feet, 18 inches. But 18 inches is a little bit high for a seat. 17 is better. Some chairs are 15, but it's something that's easy to measure. So if you pull 1.5 feet from this part of the wall, and in one point you can just bring it over as a straight line, then you bring where this line hits the floor. If you bring that up, that's going to hit that 1.5 feet right there. And that is the height we're going to bring forward. Because remember, we know that it's the same, but because this part is closer to us, we need to bring it forward. So we use our vanishing point, go through 1.5 feet here, and that will tell us what 1.5 feet is in the foreground. So we'll just go through there. Okay, so that's 1.5 feet. A lot of problems happen in perspective because we don't have our verticals up on time. So let's just take a minute and put all of our verticals up, even though we don't know how big these verticals are going to get. We just put them up anyway, put them up lightly, and when we get to them, they'll be there. So this is great now, because we already know this is the side. We've got that established because it cut across the 1.5 back there. It's the 1.5 at the front. Now I'm going to just bring that over. Now remember, we're in 1 point perspective, so this is an elevation, meaning that it's equal. All the way along its length, it's equal. It's not going away from us, so it doesn't need to get smaller. But this part does need to get smaller, so we need the vanishing point. And keep your fingers crossed, but this should go right across like that now. You can tickle it into the right place if it's close. But it's time now. We want to check our scale. So bring back your sketch, people. Let's pick a lady because that's easy. We can put her eyes on the eye level. For a man, we should measure him at 6 feet. If you prefer to use a man, you'd put the top of his head at 6 feet. Bring 6 feet over. put the top of his head at 6 feet. But I'm going to use the lady, and wherever her feet end up is fine. Don't worry about her feet, because she's going to be correct no matter where we put her. As long as her eyes are on the eye level, she'll be correct. I'm going to put both hands on her purse so I don't have to deal with her hands. Maybe just one. Put one in her pocket. One in her, this in her hand. And you work very light, but you use deliberate strokes. You don't tickle. If it looks like I'm tickling, I'm not. I'm using many strokes until I get the one that looks half decent. Oh, and then she's got that lovely skirt. And she's got her shadows on her feet. Now, how does she look with my chair is way too wide. That's what that looks like to me, that I've got it way too wide. But I guess it depends on the style of the chair, but I'm going to change it because I don't like it being that wide. And you can adjust your chair if you think it looks too wide or too. Remember what we're doing, that sketching is discovery. And what I'm discovering is that I've got a chair that's too wide, and I don't like it. So see how much help she was. She showed me that my chair was too wide. And extend your back. Bring 3 feet over for her back, for the back of the chair. Cut a little bit of the seat off. So we can put some thickness on our back. And you see here? Just go straight up. And that'll give us some thickness for our back. And we have to use our vanishing point again because the top is receding. Okay, now we're going to make this a round chair, so make an X. And I'm going to make an X here. Now, I don't go all the way back this time. I just go to the back of the seat of the chair. And I make an X here on the front of the back of the seat of the chair. Now once you've got this, then we can make an ellipse. There's a little diagram that's really helpful if you have an equal-sided box. So, no, we're not in perspective this time. But if I have an equal-sided box, and I make an X inside that box, it gives me the center. And then if I divide each of these diagonals up into 3 parts, 3 equal parts, I can just bring this up and bring it across and bring it across and bring it across. So I'm dividing these into 3 equal parts. Just each diagonal. Not this and not that, just the diagonals. That'll give me the curve. And this is where the circle touches. But this will give me the curve. And you try not to tickle. And you do a gesture. Because remember, ellipses, they're easier to do if you do a gesture. You see? So you get your ellipse that way. This is a little bit off. I did this too wide on this side, so I'm going to fix it. This is sketching, remember, it's discovery. So I'm discovering that this is too wide. Even after all these years, I still do this. So don't worry if yours isn't perfect either. Here, I can do the same thing. I can divide into 3 and bring this around. And that'll give me an ellipse. Now this is in your materials that I put up on slate. This will talk you through. This will talk you through it if you prefer to do it this way. Now everyone is different. Some people like to read about it rather than be thrown into the middle of it like this. So that's fine. See, because you're going to need to do that for your cone today and for your cylinder and also for your sphere. That's how we're going to draw your sphere. So it's very important, that diagram, how to do that. And see, this is our sphere right here. That was that easy to do. And to put the ellipse on, we know how to do that. We know that it's more shallow behind and more filled out at front. And this, you just do the same thing. More shallow behind, more filled out in front. And we could take our Pentel sign pen and just obliterate the part that we don't want to see. We want to make this part round as well because our legs are based on a circle. So and the back as well, that's based on a circle. And this has a thickness, so we have to mimic that same circle and go all the way to the edge. Go up to the top and go to the edge. And put a little thickness on for the seat. And then we can bring the legs up. Just put some legs on. So this is just a little concept sketch. Could be a little concept for a hallway. Could put a table beside it or something. Now this is too thick. I don't like that, so I could fix that. And you'll be doing concept booklets, and this is how you do them. Just quick like this, because the client doesn't want to spend a lot of money on your time just to get some quick ideas out. They want you to be fast and fly over, send them over lots of little sketches till you get an idea of what it is you want to give them. And clients try. They really do try to tell you everything they have in their mind and imagination. They really do try, but sometimes they don't know until they see it. They're only human like the rest of us, and by having lots of ideas and sending over lots of ideas, then you both have the best chance of them not changing their minds later on when it's too expensive for them to change their minds. It's just as important to know what you don't want as it is to know what you do want. So, and there's our client. And she's anonymous because you want your client to be able to put themselves in this position. Okay. And to shadow it, you could do something as simple as putting the shadow right underneath, like this. That's an easier way to just deal with your shadow. Just put it right underneath. Or if you wanted, you could bring it up a little bit on the wall. The circle for the circle there. But your shadow would be on this side and here. And if you had some tufting, it'd be a little shadow